day. This man has been a pillar in the community. This man has been a pillar in the lives of Living Truth, members, and I'm just ecstatic about bringing him to the stage today, bringing him forward. So without further ado, the next voice you hear will be that of Reverend Terry Thompson. Thank you so much.
First, we're going to have a musical selection.
And then after the musical selection, we will hear from the great Terry Thompson, Reverend Terry Thompson. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Living Truth 365. I am Reverend Terry Thompson, and as I do each time we come together, I'd like to remind you that you are living truth, a unique, individualized expression of God. And it's when you recognize your oneness with God, which is all that there is, you are indeed living truth. So how'd y'all like that song? For those of you that are just joining us, we played I Wish by Stevie Wonder. And it goes along with our theme for this month, Be Childlike, where Stevie is remembering what it was like to be a child and all the different stuff that he got into. And even though the stuff that he got into sometimes seemed like it was negative, he had fond memories of it. So my question for you is, do you have fond memories of your childhood? Or do you have one of those childhoods that you feel like, I wish that I hadn't had that? You know, everybody's childhood hasn't been good, but what I do want us to focus on with our theme for this month, which if you look at the screen, you see that it's Be Childlike, is what it is like to be a child and for you to connect with that inner child and to see what that inner child that you have is speaking to you, even for those of you that are young or maybe teenagers or young adults. So I would like to share a couple of scriptures with you. And the scriptures that we're going to be working with are going to seem to be in conflict with one another initially. So let's jump into it. First one is one that you're probably all very familiar with from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became an adult, I put away childish things. Now, what I'd like you to do is to contrast that with the next scripture. And this scripture I'm going to give you a little bit of context with. It's an answer that Jesus gives to his disciples when they ask, who is the greatest in the kingdom of God? Jesus answers them, truly I say to you, unless you change and become like little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like this little child shall be great in the kingdom of heaven. Now, it would seem that these two scriptures are in conflict. Paul is talking about us putting away childish things and becoming an adult. For how many of you, how were you raised that way, that at a certain point it's time to put away childish things and be an adult? Because being an adult is very serious, and you must be responsible and make sure that you work and that you pay your bills and that you do all the things that adults do. And in the process, we have left our childhood behind. And it's kind of not surprising because I can remember growing up, and maybe this was like this for you too. I can't wait until I'm 9 years old. I can't wait until I'm 13. I can't wait until I'm 16, and then 18, and then 21. And the idea was that the older you got, the more freedom that you had and the more that you'd be able to do. And then when you get to 21 and start to get out on your own, it's like, maybe the deal that I had back then wasn't quite so bad, because that being an adult and having to be responsible and having responsibilities, that's a whole different ball game. And you don't have a clue about that when you're a child and when you're growing up. You're carefree, right? You don't really have anything to worry about, even though you think that you do. You want to be able to do grown person stuff, but you don't want the responsibility and the consequences that go with it. So when I took a look at these two scriptures, I found that there are some things that kind of explain that they're not really in conflict with one another, but they kind of can work and coexist together. So if you take a look at the first one, and I'm going to go back to it, there's a specific word that I want you to focus on. I put away childish things. And in the next scripture, become like little children. And so we've got this contrast between being childlike and being childish. Who can tell me what childish means to you? Anybody? Trina, I see the wheels rolling in your head. What does childish mean to you?
In that context, it feels like it means irresponsible.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Careless.
Okay.
No real concept of rules or that's it. It's
Okay.
childish.
All right. So I'm going to go over to your other half and ask what it means to you to be childlike.
Carefree, not really worried about much.
Mm-hmm.
Just more self-centered, doing what I feel feels good to me or makes me happy.
Okay. All right, so both of you are pretty close. I'm going to put up a slide that's going to show the differences between the two, at least in terms of what I found, because that's going to set the foundation for our discussion that we're going to have today and what I'd like for you to take out of my lesson today. So I've got up on the screen a comparison between childish and childlike. Trina, you mentioned something. It wasn't exactly immature, but somebody that needs to grow up or something along those lines. And yeah, when somebody's childish, they'll be immature. They'll be selfish, centered on themselves. It's all about me and what I want. The world revolves around me. And if I can't get my way, I'm going to pout. I'm going to sulk. I'm going to try to force you or make you do the things that I want you to do or manipulate you. And a person that acts childish is like really severely connected to their egos. They're in their feelings. It's all about them and what it is that they need. And they don't feel that connection with everybody else. On the other hand, someone who is childlike is innocent. And when innocent, I say innocent, I don't mean necessarily innocent in the terms of being in the legal system, but innocence in the terms of being unblemished, being pure and untouched, being natural, being able to live in the current moment, being accepting and open, forgiving, humble, that they're willing to be trusting, they're connected to spirit, and they're willing to be obedient. And that's one of the things that we want of our children. We want our children to be obedient, not necessarily to be afraid of us, although sometimes you got to kind of put a little bit of fear in them to make sure that they stay in line and that you know that you mean business. But the idea that a child can be humble, can be obedient, and can be open and receptive to the guidance of their parents. That's when we talk about childlike, that we want you to be when we're talking about you being connected to spirit, being open and forgiving, and knowing that you have a connection with everybody. You know, I love that opening picture that we have because that's how many children are. They don't care about the color. They don't care about whether you got a lot of money or anything like that. When kids get together, they can just embrace one another. And they can just accept one another just for who they are and where they are. And they can have fun. Those of you who know me know that I work for a private school and we have kids that go all the way from 18 months up to 8th grade. And one of the things that I notice about especially the young kids is that they will do things like run just for the pure joy of it. It's like whatever it is that they do, they find joy. They're being a natural expression of who they are as spirit, because spirit is joy. And when we connect with the presence and power of God within us, we will feel joy, and we can feel joy at any time, no matter what's going on around us, no matter what the circumstances, because that's a part of who we are. That's a part of our spiritual DNA. And so I'd like to define one other thing for you before we jump into the lesson, and that's this idea of the kingdom of heaven. So our traditional brothers and sisters in Christianity will define the kingdom of heaven as some place out there by and by when you die that you go to, if you've been a good person or if you're saved. And if you aren't saved or haven't been a good person, you go to the other place. In New Thought, we define the kingdom of heaven not as a place, but rather as a state of consciousness. It's where we have the orderly adjustment of divine ideas in man's body and mind. And what that means is that we recognize, as I said, that we are individualized expressions of God. And that as individualized expressions of God, whatever is true of God is true of us. And so when we have our affairs orderly in mind and spirit, it means that we don't experience negative health. We don't experience lack and limitation, but rather we know that health and energy in life is abundant, and that we can live life abundantly every day in every way, regardless of our age, regardless of where we come from, that potential is there for us to express who we are and why we are here on this earth, the mission that we've come to fulfill. And I believe that each one of us has a purpose for being here. It may not be something that's going to be grand or that in the scheme of things is going to really impact the world. But all you have to do is to be that one person that impacts the one person that makes a big impact on the world. And so we're here in Living Truth to help everybody to be able to live in the kingdom of heaven right here and right now, to experience prosperity, to experience abundance, to experience good health, to experience good expression of who you are, so that you can be all that you were meant to be, all that you came here to be, and not have barriers blocking you from fully expressing yourself, and for you to be able to recognize your spiritual connection with God. So I'd like to talk with you about what it means to be childlike and how you can do it, and some of the qualities of being childlike. And along the way, I'm going to give you some quotes of some things that I think are helpful to kind of give you some food for thought. Some of these things that I've got quotes for, you're going to find in whatever this thing is called, thank you, the barrier breaking booklet that we have, all right, for our month of August. And for those of you that don't know, we have the barrier breaking program that we've had going on for 2024 to help us break through the barriers that are holding us back from experiencing the lives that we desire to live, to achieve our goals, and to be everything that we can be as divine expressions of spirit. And so as we go through this, I'm going to say that being childlike is the equivalent of being innocent, of having that connection with God that you can be who you are in every moment, without blemish, without sin, otherwise known as error thinking, and that you can be that full divine expression of spirit that you came here to be. There are 5 areas that I want to focus on. I want to focus on energy, which each of these ties into one of the 12 spiritual principles that we practice here at Living Truth. So energy would be the equivalent of zeal. Imagination is the faculty of imagination. Curiosity and awe would line up with our faculty of judgment and knowledge. Trust would line up with faith. And resilience would line up with our faculty of life, our ability to be able to renew ourselves. I'm going to go through these one by one and talk about them a little bit and see if any of these things that I talk about resonate with you. So the first thing is going to be energy. And when I think of energy, especially with little children, it seems that they just have boundless energy, that they can run and play all day long, and it's like they want to be up doing things. You can't get them to go to bed, and they just can run and run and run and run and run. And then for us, we get to a certain point in life where it's like, oh, I'm so tired. I can't wait for the weekend to come. Child, you know I'm starting to get old. But you know, that's not the way that it has to be. Many of us have gotten indoctrinated into this idea that as we grow old, that there are certain things that are going to happen to us, that when we get old, that we must be frail, that we start to lose energy, or that old people are sick. I got news for you. It doesn't have to be that way. And it's really up to you to decide how you're going to live your life and align your life with spirit. Because see, what we want you to do is we want you to develop a consciousness that raises your vibration up, that aligns with your true self. When you start to accept these ideas, these limiting ideas that get drummed into you as you get old and put away childish things and become an adult, that start to limit you from what it is that you can achieve. So I mentioned about kids that I see them running just for the pure joy of it. They're expressive. They can draw. It doesn't have to be great art, but they draw, they express themselves. It's a way for them to be who they are, that they can show that off, and they're happy to show it off to you. They're proud to show it off to you. They live with an excitement, a sense of excitement, and they have fun. Living Truth, when was the last time that you had some fun? What was the last thing that you did that was fun? Reverend Sharon, what was the last thing that you did that was fun?
Played music and danced in my house.
Played music and danced in your house.
Yeah.
Jeremy Hill, what was the last thing that you did that was fun? He's got to think about it.
Yeah, too much fun.
Not too much fun? All right, we're going to have to work on that. So toward the end of this lesson, I'm going to give you some things to think about that you can do that might be fun. So Miss Ty, I'm going to pick on you because I haven't gotten to you yet. I've already picked on these two. What was the last thing that you did that was fun? You went swimming. Well, I think one of the last things that I did that was fun is that we went whitewater rafting last week. And even though it might not seem like it was fun, our boat capsized right when we got out on the water. And we're paddling, and we hit this patch of water that just dropped like about 5 feet, and we weren't rowing hard enough. And the next thing I know, I see the boat starting to do like this, and I'm like, we're not really going over, are we? And the next thing I know, I'm underwater, and the boat is over me, and I'm like, wow, you're underwater. And we ended up getting out. We had a really good guide. He got us all back in the boat, and he got us safely, and that was the only time that we capsized. We had some rough, a couple of times that we went through some rough water, but it was fun. we got a chance to get out and to work together as a team, and we're rowing down the stream and going through the rapids and the white water, and it just was fun. But you can do things that are fun that don't have anything to do with necessarily being out on the water like that, although that's fine. You could just go for a walk in the park. You could go running. You could, pretend and play games, and many of us don't do that anymore. One of the things I'm going to suggest to you is that at some point you do like dress up and go out and pretend to be whoever it is that you want to become or whatever you think is going to be fun. This is a way for us to stimulate our connection with spirit, because we put blockages up between ourselves and spirit because we have to be serious adults. And we don't want people to think that we're not serious. But when we connect with that inner child will tell us what it is that we need. That inner child will tell us where it is that we need to develop, what it is that's hurting with us and what needs to be healed. And it's important that we do that so that as we go through life, we don't continue to repeat the same problems over and over and over again, because there's something that needs to be healed that we're not giving attention to. So I'd like to leave you with this thought about energy and playfulness with a quote from George Bernard Shaw. It says, "You don't stop playing because you become old. You become old because you stop playing." So I'm going to encourage each and every one of you to find some time every week or every day if you can, just for a little bit to play. To play and do something that's fun, that helps you to connect with who you are and to find joy. Because joy is not something that comes from without. Joy is something that radiates from within. I used to have a tagline that I put on my emails that said, "Make your own weather. Choose to be happy today." We can make our own weather with our attitude and what it is that we choose. It doesn't depend on whatever the weather's going on outside, whether it's rainy, whether the sun's out, whether it's hot or cold. We make our own weather. Next, I'd like to talk to you about imagination. Imagination we also call the scissors of the mind. It's what we use to create the lives that we have. And for those of you that have been here for a while and have heard us talk about imagination, we know that there are two creations. The first one is the one that we create in consciousness through the use of our imaginations. And the second one is what we actually experience in life. What kinds of things are you imagining for yourself? Are you imagining your highest and greatest good? Or is your imagination full of worry about what could be going on? Are you imagining what might happen if the candidate that you don't like gets into the White House in November or in January? Has that got you twisted up in knots? Or are you like children that can use your imagination to role play and to be whatever it is that you want to be? Children don't have those limitations on them about what they can and can't be. And for them, it's a learning experience. The truth is that we're always living in our imaginations. What we experience is not the actual world, but rather what is filtered through our consciousness. We take things, you and I could have the same experience or have the same events that happen in our lives and have two completely different reactions and perceptions to it. The truth is somewhere in between where we are and what we see, but it affects each of us differently because we each imagine the experiences differently. We each bring something different to the table. And through our thoughts, our behaviors, and our actions, we actually create the world that we live in. And so if we want to change the world that we live in, we need to first change ourselves and become something different. And we use our faculty of imagination to do that. And when we can connect to our imagination, that's us using a childlike quality that's already innate in us. So here is what Mr. Picasso has to say about children. He says that all children are artists. The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up. Something to think about. Children are also curious. Children are consummate learners. They're constantly learning. They're constantly soaking up new knowledge and ways of doing things. You know, for many of us, by the time that we get out of high school, the educational experience or whatever has been so bad, or we've gotten it drummed into us that somehow school is bad, that we stop learning. I hear many people, and I remember many years ago, Reverend Sharon decided she wanted to go back to school, to college, to get her bachelor's degree. And at that point, how old were you, honey? About 40 years old? About 40 years old. Where her sisters look at her and like, are you crazy? When I got out of school, I said, you know, that's it for me. And it's like, you get to a point where you feel like you know everything, and there's so much in this world to know. There's so much that we don't know. We live in an awesome world. And when you have a childlike attitude about the world that you live in, you're curious about it, you want to know more about it, you want to know how it is that it works. And that does something for you, that it puts you on a vibration of going upward, of growing, of being able to be more, because you can be more when you know more. I myself have gone back to school at this point in my life. And for those of you that are kind of getting up a little bit in age, you need to know that the state of Georgia and many other states, once you get over a certain age, I think in Georgia at 62, that you can go to any public Georgia college tuition free. Something to think about. You still have to pay for your books, but I mean, that is just such a gift that you can go back and you can get an advanced degree, or you can get a degree, period, if you never had one, and perhaps fulfill a dream. But it gives you a chance for you to grow, for you to learn more about yourself and about the world, and for you to begin to create the life that you want to create. We are never too old to learn. We're never too old to explore the world. You know, some people, when they get into retirement, they travel. They see other parts of the world because it's something they're curious. They want to keep going, and that helps to keep them young. When I grew up, I was raised by my uncle and aunt. And my uncle, when he got to a certain age and retired, he worked for the Southern Railroad and ended up with a pension that paid him more money than he was making when he was working. And he used to say to me, Terry, I'm not going to sit home and just do nothing. I'll get it stiff and I'll die. And he got out and found himself a job, and he traveled a bit and did things. We have to use our natural curiosity for us to explore the world, and that keeps us going and keeps us living. That we're not just living life to live, but there's a quality of life that each of us has, that we're living abundantly, that we're finding that expression of who we are, that we're growing and we're being more of the spirit that we are. And so here's my quote for you about curiosity from Wayne Dyer. To be more childlike, you don't have to give up being an adult. The fully integrated person is capable of being both an adult and a child simultaneously. Recapture the childlike feelings of wide-eyed excitement, spontaneous appreciation, cutting loose, and being full of awe and wonder at this magnificent universe. And then the last thing that I want to talk with you about is resilience. You know, kids, when they get hurt or they fall down, they may cry a bit, but they can get back up and they're generally going to be okay. And if they do have something serious that happens, they generally can recover from it fairly quickly. It seems that the older that we get, the harder it is for us to recover from different things that happen to us. And it's not only physically, it's for us mentally also. Because resilience is our ability to be able to recover and to heal ourselves. Our bodies and our minds know how to heal themselves if we let them, if we give them the rest that we need, the nutrition, the ability to let go of things and to eliminate toxins from our bodies and from our minds. Some of us, in connecting with our inner child, are going to need to connect with those hurts that we've sustained, those traumas that we had as children. It's those traumas that are putting up blockages in our lives that are keeping us from moving forward. You know, some of us have blockages when it comes to money. Money don't grow on trees. unless you're Reverend Sharon. And for those of you who don't know, Reverend Sharon has a tree that was given to her by members of the Circle of One. And it's got $20 bills, $5 bills, $1 bills, and $50 bills that are on the leaves. And she did this to kind of contradict this idea, or to basically say the idea that money doesn't grow on trees is a false idea. Because we can use trees to make money. As a matter of fact, they do use trees to make money because trees are used to make paper. But I remember that we had this young woman that came over to our house at one point, and she saw the money tree, and she got highly perturbed looking at that tree. And she was in her early 20s. She came from a family that told her money is hard to come by, and money does not grow on trees. And so she lived her life up to that point that money was difficult, that she was destined to be poor, she wasn't going to get out of her social class, and that you had to work hard for it, and that even when you worked hard for it, it still wasn't going to be enough. And I mean, that thing disturbed her, that every time she walked by that tree, she had something to say about it. And it was interesting to us that that tree bothered her so badly, because this idea of money not growing on trees had been ingrained in her so much that she had this barrier that held her down, that she couldn't see past it and see that she could become and do more. And at 20-something years old, that's such a shame to have that limitation, because she's got hopefully another 40, 50, 60 years of life to be able to live, but it's going to be with lack and limitation. Living Truth family, we don't have to be poor, and we don't have to be broke. The abundance of the universe is out there for us. We only need to reach out and touch it, reach out and get it, to align our consciousness, our bodies, and our affairs with divine ideas, as we have from the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. And we can declare and affirm and experience that money flows to me easily and effortlessly, that I have divine ideas that enrich me each and every day. And when we open ourselves up to the possibilities, money will begin to come into our lives when we release and let go of these old ideas, these ideas that our inner child may have that needs to be healed of. Those things that are troubling us now, whether it's money, whether it's poor health, whether it's relationships. You know, that's another one that I didn't even get into, about how we get ingrained about relationships are difficult, or there are no good men or women out there. But there are. And I see it in my own experience. I see it with people that I know that it's not true. But we accept it as true, and it puts a barrier on us and what we're able to experience. So I'm going to share one last quote with you, and we're going to get ready to close out. Age is a number. Old is a state of mind. So as I come to an end here, I'm going to rattle off a bunch of things that I'd like for you to do to help you to connect with your inner child. You ready? All right, then. Put on your records and dance like nobody's watching you, even if somebody is. But put on your records. And I was out running one morning, and Mary J. Blige came on, and a record came on that said, "Good Morning, Gorgeous." I said, all right, then. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. And even if nobody else tells you, "Good morning, gorgeous," you can do it for yourself. How many of you have watched a cartoon lately? All right, there we go. You know, I grew up watching Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner. You know, maybe some of y'all watch Pinky and the Brain, or that you watch Disney movies. You know, I really like those. And then what they've got coming out of Pixar, Despicable Me. I haven't seen some of the latest ones, but I'd like to. And when my mom was alive, my mom lived to about 85, 86. Whenever a new cartoon would come out, it's like, let's go. She wanted to go see them because she just enjoyed, you know, she watched more of the Cartoon Network than she watched anything else. That she just enjoyed connecting with that childlike, with that inner child to watch those cartoons. Learn something new. learn a new language, learn to do computer programming, learn to tell jokes, learn something new that puts you out of your comfort zone and makes you stretch, because that's going to help you to be able to express more of spirit in your life. Go on an adventure and explore. Go traveling. And sometimes traveling doesn't mean that you have to go to another city or country. There are places around here in the metro Atlanta area that I have not seen or experienced. Truth Trekkers. Third Saturday of the month. Where are y'all going this month? Alabama. Over by where I work. Okay. All right, so we'll be sending out notices about that in the next week or so and posting it on the website. But yes, get out with truth trekkers. Get out and experience nature. Be with like-minded people that are doing something positive, not only for their minds, but for their health, and just getting out and having a good time. Paint or draw a picture, even if you don't consider yourself an artist. It doesn't matter whether it's something that somebody else may buy, but it's your expression. It's your ability to be able to create, and it exercises or utilizes a portion of your mind or of your brain that you don't normally use. Eat some ice cream and have a slice of cake or pie. Then we can also pray or meditate to really go within and connect to our inner child. And if you are having issues, if you're finding that you're having problems coping with life, seek counseling, seek therapy. I know that particularly for the Black community that can be something that's got a stigma attached to it. But I can tell you for myself, I've gone through therapy. I'm going through therapy now. There are issues that need to be dealt with that sometimes we can't do on our own. And we need the help of a mental health professional to help us deal with them. So don't let shame hold you back. Don't feel like, especially if you've been working on it for a while and it's not working for you, get some help. Do something fun. Play Uno. Dress up. Do something a little bit out of the ordinary. Call up a girlfriend or a guy friend and just giggle and laugh with them and talk about some silly things. It doesn't have to always be serious, but sometimes it's just, let's get together and have some fun. And then last, I'm going to say, play dress up. I think at one point, did we ever do it where we dressed up and it said, come as you want to be? So, you can dress up and become as you want to be. If you want to be a stock trader, maybe you have your phone when somebody's calling you and it's like, yeah, buy me 10 shares of this or 1,000 shares of that. Or maybe you come as a published author where you've got your book. Whatever it is that you'd like to do, have some fun with life. Life is serious, but it doesn't have to be all serious. Help to create the life that you want by connecting with spirit. Raise your vibration and be childlike. And so it is.
So it is.
All right. Be childlike. Man, thank you so much, Reverend Terry. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I think we all need to be reminded. Why so serious? Why so serious? So we have a few announcements. All right. So Truth and Trending Topics will be Sunday, August 18th. As you can see, we have a jam-packed lineup, star-studded. Reverend Drea, Reverend Chantel, Reverend Sharon, and Reverend Jada, and Reverend Terry. And then if anyone didn't get a chance to give, we have our tithing, which is a one-time setup, texting 470-243-2191. And then also we have Cash App, $LT365. And then also we have sustaining members. So if you would like to become a sustainer, feel free to join. That's through Zelle. Set up LT365 as the payee using the email livingtruth365@gmail.com. Create a payment marked with repeat pay payment and contact your banks if you need specifics. All right, and then Moments in Meditation is on hiatus, I believe, until October September, excuse me, until September. Feel free to meditate on your own. Dr. Rocco has the Noor Foundation, Dr. Rocco Erico. You can register by email at noorfoundation@mail.com or by toll-free on phone, 1-888-992-8161. He has the Airman School of Light, which is the second Saturday of each month. It's from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. There's $30 per class. He has online classes each Wednesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and that is with a love offering. So we have a Friday breakthrough call each Friday morning, 7 a.m. We like to catch up with each other, see where each other is at on our Breaking Barriers journey, and then offer support to each other as well. Save the dates. Save the dates. Saturday, August 10th, Sunday, August 25th. We have two very special things coming, very special events. We will be sending out corresponding information, but save these dates. Make them clear the schedule. Also, get your reppin' tees, kelfanistudios.etsy.com. As you can see, Reverend Terry was wearing the Reppin' Love shirt today. We have a lot of different other choices on there. Feel free to support and get your reppin' tees. And then also, we have barrier breaking merchandise on there as well. We are online, www.livingtruth365.org. Please check our website out. We have a lot of resources on there, as well as a lot of information that will be pertinent to your barrier breaking journey. So we can stand up and repeat our barrier breaking affirmation for 2023. And let's be childlike. Let's say it in a weird voice. Everybody use a voice different from your voice that you may have that you don't pull out that often. Maybe it's your hello, hey, how you doing? Maybe it's that voice you use at work. Maybe it's, hey, shawty, hey. Maybe it's that one. Let's just use a different voice today. And let's say it 3 times, okay? There are no barriers in God, therefore there can be no barriers in me. There are no barriers in God, therefore there can be no barriers in me. All right? There are no barriers in God, therefore there can be no barriers in me. We sound like a fraternity. All right, I like that. And so it is, y'all. Thanks so much for joining us. We are here every Sunday, not every Sunday, excuse me. We're here, check your schedule. We are here for your support. We are here to be a resource. We love you, we bless you, and we can't wait till the next time. Thank you so much. I'm Jeremy Hill.